Hello, my dear Virgos. Welcome to the Astrology of the Path channel. And today we are going to talk in detail about March 2026, a month that becomes a deep turning point for you, a time of inner recalibration and honest maturation. This is a period when life seems to slow down so that you can notice what used to slip away due to haste, the habit of trying to control everything, and the tendency to be useful to everyone except yourself. Virgo is a sign of reason, order, analysis, and service. You are used to relying on logic, facts, and clear systems. But March 2026 gently and sometimes quite insistently moves you into the realm of feelings, intuition, and trust in the process. This month is not about quick results or external achievements. It is about putting things in order within yourself, freeing yourself from old obligations, and truly listening to your own needs. For Virgos, March primarily affects themes of relationships, trust, financial connections, internal fears, and daily balance. The 7th house of partnerships, the 8th house of transformation and shared resources, and in the second half of the month, the 6th house of work and health are actively involved. Everything that happens will be interconnected. Inner changes will inevitably reflect in external circumstances, and events in relationships will act as a mirror of your internal state. The 7th house is the house of partnerships, both personal and business relationships, alliances, and cooperation. In March 2026, it becomes the main area for all changes. It tests how mature and honest your relationships are, and whether they can withstand challenges and external pressures. During this period, you will clearly see who is truly on the same wavelength with you and who only seems close. Events may push you to part ways with what has long stopped working, or conversely, to deepen your connection with those willing to walk honestly and openly with you. It is important to respect your boundaries and express your desires and needs honestly. Unspoken and hidden tension now manifests, and ignoring it is no longer possible. The 7th house in March reminds you that any relationship requires balance, trust, and the ability to listen to your partner, not only to yourself. The 8th house is the realm of transformations, shared finances, debts, investments, psychological depths, and trust. In March, it is especially activated through aspects of Mars, Venus, and the Sunday. This house reveals all hidden emotional and financial processes. You may face issues of resource redistribution, discussions of debts, and reconsideration of joint investments or agreements. At the same time, deep internal processes occur in the 8th house. Old fears, control patterns, dependencies, and emotional attachments are released. This is a time when it is important to honestly look at yourself, your emotions, your fears, and desires, to understand what you are ready to let go of and what requires processing and respect. The energy of the 8th house helps Virgos free themselves from what no longer serves their growth and lays the foundation for new, more mature, and secure connections. The 6th house is the house of work, health, habits, and daily routines. In the second half of the month, it becomes actively involved through aspects of Venus, the Sun, and direct Mercury. For Virgos, March becomes a time to bring order to everyday life. This includes adjusting your daily schedule, paying attention to nutrition, physical activity, and emotional and mental states. Work and responsibilities that seemed routine now require a more conscious approach. It is a good time to review habits, optimize processes, and balance internal resources with external demands. The 6th house helps Virgos understand that order in the external world begins with self-care, and that only through harmony of body and mind is stability in other areas of life possible. On the 2nd of March 2026, Mars changes sign and enters Pisces, where it will stay until April 9. For Virgos, this activates the sphere of partnerships and open interactions. Mars's energy here manifests not directly, but through emotions, expectations, and hidden tensions. From this day, you may feel increased uncertainty in relationships. A partner or business ally may demand attention but not clearly state what they want. Or you may begin to feel inner irritation without understanding its cause. This is a signal that too much has remained unspoken. Mars in Pisces requires not pressure, but honest and gentle clarification. Any attempt to manipulate, avoid conversation, or play the victim will only increase tension. At the same time, sincere dialogue and readiness to hear the other side can start the process of healing relationships. On March 3, one of the key events of the month occurs a lunar eclipse in Virgo. This is a very personal and significant point for you. The eclipse summarizes a large inner cycle connected with your identity, lifestyle, body, and psyche. On this day, or in the following weeks, a sharp realization may come of where you are not living your own life, where you have endured too long, adapted too much, or did not allow yourself to be alive and vulnerable. Emotionally, this may feel like fatigue, emptiness, or the desire to stop everything. Tears, resurfacing old grievances, or bodily signals demanding attention are possible. It is very important not to make abrupt decisions during this period. The eclipse does not require immediate action. It requires honesty and observation. Everything that becomes clear now will serve as the basis for further changes over the coming months. On March 5, a harmonious trine forms between the Sun and Jupiter. After the tension of the eclipse, this aspect brings a sense of support and inner expansion. You may feel that you are not alone, and that what is happening has a deeper meaning. On this day, encouraging news, important conversations, or inner insights may arrive that restore your faith in yourself. It is a good time for learning, planning the future, and discussing prospects. Everything that comes now seems to illuminate the direction in which you should move forward. On March 6, Venus changes sign and enters Aries, where it will remain until March 30. For Virgos, this involves the 8th house, the sphere of deep intimacy, shared finances, trust, and psychological transformations. From this moment, relationships become more intense. Passion, jealousy, or a desire for greater emotional involvement may increase. Questions of money, debts, shared resources, and commitments may also arise. Venus in Aries requires honesty and courage, but it is important not to confuse sincerity with harshness. Any attempt to pressure or demand may provoke resistance. This period is suitable for clarifying complex issues, but only with respect for boundaries. On March 7, the Sun conjuncts retrograde Mercury. This is a day of returns and reconsideration. Old conversations, people, or situations may reappear. You might unexpectedly receive a message from the past, or return in your thoughts to a project that was once postponed. This day is not for final decisions. It is for analysis, reflection, and inner dialogue. It is useful to review plans, draw conclusions, and write down thoughts that arise. On March 8, Venus forms a conjunction with Neptune, and the black moon makes a tense aspect to the karmic nodes. The day is very subtle and emotionally intense. Intuition, romanticism, and the pursuit of ideals are enhanced, but at the same time, the risk of self-deception increases. In relationships, it is easy to see not the real person, but the image you want to see. This is a wonderful time for creativity, music, meditation, and spiritual practices, but not for financial decisions or commitments. It is important to stay in touch with reality and not ignore warning signals. On March 9, a trine between retrograde Mercury and Jupiter helps connect past experiences with future possibilities. On this day, you may suddenly understand why certain events happened in your life. This is a good time for learning, analysis, writing, and strategic planning. Thoughts that arise now may have long-term significance. On March 13, Mars conjuncts the North Karmic lunar node. This is one of the most fateful days of the month. Events may require courage and inner honesty from you. Important conversations in relationships, decisions regarding financial matters, or psychological breakthroughs are possible. Sometimes such days feel tense, but they are precisely the moments that guide us toward growth. Everything that begins now has karmic significance and influences your further path. On March 14, 15, and 16, a tense cluster of aspects forms involving Mars, Mercury, and the Black Moon. This is a period of heightened irritability, fatigue, and the risk of misunderstandings. Mistakes in words, sharp reactions, and the desire to control everything are possible. It is important to consciously slow down, avoid conflicts, and pay attention to the body and rest. This is not a time for arguments or final conclusions. On March 19, a new moon occurs in Pisces, affecting your 7th house. This is a point of new beginnings in the area of relationships. You may set intentions related to a more honest, mature, and conscious partnership. This concerns not only personal relationships, but also business alliances and your relationship with yourself. The new moon helps start a new cycle based on trust and respect for boundaries. On March 20, the sun enters Aries, the day of the spring equinox, and the astrological new year begins. For Virgos, the 8th house is activated. This is a time of deep decisions, strategy review, and strengthening inner strength. You seem to enter a new stage with fewer illusions and greater awareness. On March 21, Mercury goes direct. Communications gradually improve, and it becomes easier to negotiate and make decisions. Everything that was reconsidered during retrograde can now be carefully implemented. On March 22, the Sun conjuncts Neptune, enhancing sensitivity and intuition. The day is suitable for spiritual practices, creativity, and inner dialogue, but requires caution in practical matters. On March 25, the Sun conjuncts Saturn, bringing a sense of maturity and responsibility. You clearly see boundaries, resources, and real possibilities. This is a suitable moment for long-term decisions and strengthening stability. On March 30, Venus enters Taurus, activating the 9th house for Virgos. By the end of the month, there is a sense of calm, purpose, and broadening horizons. Plans related to learning, travel, and seeking new directions are possible. March 2026 teaches Virgos the main lesson. True order begins not with control, but with honesty and trust in yourself. This month may be emotionally intense, but it is precisely through it that you come to inner clarity, freedom from the unnecessary, and readiness to move forward in a more mature and holistic way. Beyond specific dates, March 2026 brings Virgo's deep inner transformation through the activity of the 7th, 8th, and 6th houses. In the 7th house, you learn to see boundaries, engage in honest dialogue, and test relationships for maturity. The 8th house raises questions of financial connections, trust, and psychological depths, where it is important to release the old, process the past, and reconsider financial and emotional obligations. The 6th house helps you balance work, health, and personal resources, bringing order to everyday life and creating conditions for stability. March 2026 will bring Virgos the understanding that internal order and awareness are more important than external control. You will learn to trust the process of life, accept your emotions and needs, free up space from what no longer serves development, and build more honest and mature relationships. This month will lay the foundation for future growth, new alliances, and sustainable inner balance. It will give you the opportunity to close old cycles, find meaning in what has been lived, and prepare the ground for new beginnings, bringing clarity, strength, and a deep sense of inner wholeness.